Catherine. We heard that you have a new commission for us.
That's correct. There's a requester who has submitted a designated commission for the two of you.
A designated commission? Sounds like it must be pretty important. What kind of task is it exactly?
There's no need to worry. This commission is not dangerous by any means. Perhaps you have heard that Inazuma will soon be holding a major festival, the magnificent Irodori Festival.
Yay! A festival! Oh, come to think of it, we haven't attended a festival in Inazuma for a while.
The Yashiro Commission and Lady Yae are responsible for all the festival preparations. The one who has requested your help is none other than Lady Yae herself.
You know Miko. She always has some unusual ideas in her head. You can bet a festival planned by her is gonna be one to remember. We'd better go to Grand Narukami Shrine and see what she needs us to do.
Lady Yae is currently at Yae Publishing House in Hanamizaka, so there is no need to go all the way to the shrine. In fact, she has instructed me to have you directly meet with her there.
Oh, well that's convenient enough. Let's go then.
Come, try some creative cooking.
Aratani and Kuroda, how are things coming along?
All the books and commission prints for Yae Publishing House were bound and sent out yesterday afternoon, Lady Yae.
Very good. And Murata?
We have already received word from Apekusu and Sailing Breeze that the materials are all in place for Shogun Almighty Reborn as Raiden with Unlimited Power and Pretty Please Kitsune Guji.
Well done. And what about you, Onodera? Ahem. Onodera?
Oh, yes, Lady Yae. Everything is ready for the new issue release party.
You are the one who organized the plans for this release party. In other words, you are the team's fearless leader now. So please, show some confidence. Besides, there's no need to be nervous. This project is destined for success. I feel quite optimistic about it. I shall specially grant you leave for the next couple of days, Onodera. Please take the opportunity to have a good rest. After all, you will be very busy on the day of the release party.
Yes, Lady Yae. Thank you very much.
All right then. Is everyone clear about their assignments? Good. We are running out of time, so let's get moving. Chop chop! Hello, little ones. I take it you have received my commission,
Some organizer you are! It's nearly time for the festival and you're still over here ramping things up for your light novel business! Shouldn't you be getting back to the Grand Narukami Shrine? You weren't thinking of dumping all the festival preparations on us, were you? If so, then you can forget it! Paimon won't accept such a commission!
My, such harsh words. It hurts to hear that kind of talk from you two. But as you can clearly see, I'm here working like a dog for the festival, yet you say I'm not doing my job. Let me ask you, little ones, whoever said that the festival must involve the Grand Narukami Shrine?
Huh? But isn't that a given? This is Inazuma after all.
Yes, that is true. But now that the Sokoku decree has been lifted, Inazuma is no longer the same nation that once resisted change tooth and nail. Therefore, rather than sticking to the same old traditional festival, the Yashiro Commission and I have decided to shake things up a little. This time, we'll be holding an international cultural festival, distinctly Inazuman, but with a unique twist. I suppose I should start by telling you the origins of the Irodori Festival. Legend has it that there were 5 poets in ancient Inazuma who were supremely gifted in singing and writing poetry. They are known as the 5 Kassen. Every year, one of the 5 would present a collection of the group's poems to the shogun for review, which would then spark culture discussions regarding those works. Thanks to them, Inazuma's culture blossomed and gained great influence at that time. As time passed, people began creating various tales based on the 5 Kassen. The Iridori Festival was also developed as a result to show appreciation for their works, which so greatly enriched our lives.
Sounds like a festival that's really rooted in culture.
Indeed. To describe it in the words of the ancients, it'd be refined elegance. Unfortunately, with the flow of time, people have gradually forgotten about the 5 Kassen and the festival. Which is precisely why I've decided to revive the Iridori Festival by holding a cultural convention featuring light novels.
But, wait a minute! Light novels?
Please stop looking at me with those baffled expressions. In ancient times, poetry was all the rage, but nowadays, the entertainment format of choice is light novels. The important thing is not the format, but the creative work itself. It is impossible to come up with anything fresh if you're stuck using some rigid format of the past. Speaking of which, don't you think that the concept of focusing on the now perfectly suits the current Inazuma? And besides, it's a great opportunity to reintroduce Inazuma to Ultivat through light novels. As they say, it's 2 birds with 1 stone.
Whoa, that was close. Paimon was nearly carried away by Miko's persuasive tongue. Come on, Miko! You can't fool us. We know you by now. This is all definitely stemming from your own personal interest.
I can't deny that my hobbies had no part to play in this. However, regardless of whether it's light novels or a festival, catching people's attention with a fresh concept is the essence here. Well, what do you say? Aren't you two even a little curious about what interesting things you might see at the festival?
Maybe a little. Oh, all right. Paimon's super curious now.
Come, let's pay a visit to the venue in Rito together. I promise that it will give you a whole new perspective on the festival. There we'll meet a special someone who will tell you more about your tasks. During the Iridori Festival, the area around the Outlander Affairs Agency will become the main exhibition space for light novels. Once things are in full swing, not only will there be lots of official and fan-created work on display, there'll also be exclusive giveaways, prizes, and new release parties. This small plaza in front of the International Trade Association will be called the 5 Kassen Plaza during the festival, and nearby shops will be selling special light novel merchandise. You certainly won't want to miss out.
Wow. How should Paimon put this? It's definitely not your typical festival, but it sure looks like it'll be quite the party. Huh. Miko, what are these blank boards in the center of the plaza?
Yes, those are...
Ah, Lady I did mention that there would be some reliable helpers coming to assist with the festivities. It appears she meant you two. At last we meet again, Traveler and Paimon. Tell me, how are you faring recently?
Oh, the Iridori Festival?
Preparing festivals falls under the Yashiro Commission's scope of responsibilities. Seeing as Lady Yae has poured her heart and soul into the preparations, I'm obliged to be equally dedicated.
Come now, Ayato. We're not strangers here. There's no need to sound so formal. We were just about to discuss the boards over here. They're related to our little helper's tasks, so I'll let you give them a detailed rundown.
Certainly. I assume you two already know that the Iridori Festival originated from the 5 Kasen. These 5 boards are here for painting their portraits. This Iridori Festival is not only the first major festival to be held in Inazuma since the lifting of the Sakoku Decree, it is also an event deeply rooted in culture and the arts. Therefore, the Yashiro Commission has personally invited several cultural celebrities from other nations. For example, the artist we have invited to paint these portraits hails from the distant land of Mondstadt. The Yashiro Commission will arrange accommodations and food in Inazuma for each of the distinguished guests. However, we fear that staying in a foreign land may feel a little uncomfortable, which is precisely why it would be ideal to have someone familiar with both Inazuma and other nations of Teyvat to serve as a guide for our guests. I knew you would catch on. It is our hope that you would be able to guide the guests from the harbor to their residence at the International Trade Association, while providing any necessary assistance along the way. This arrival schedule includes the details of the ships on which the guests will be arriving. All you simply have to do is go to the docks at the indicated times.
It's settled then. My, look at the time. I have to meet with my editors, so I must be going now. During the festival, most of the Yae Publishing House's editors will be staying near the Outlander Affairs Agency. If you run into any problems, you may find them there.
This festival requires the full cooperation of the Tri-Commission, and there are still many minor details which require my attention, so I must excuse myself for now. I'll leave the guests in your hands.
All the details we need about the ships are on the timetable that Ayato gave us. Let's take a closer look and be sure to pick up the passengers according to the times written on it.
Love her freedom. Which will teach. The festivals always attract so many people. Ugh.
If you want to see Mondstadt's great minds, then look no further than Sailing Breeze. the arrival schedule, there will be a ship arriving from Mondstadt today. The artist for the 5 Kassen portraits should be on board. The boat should be arriving soon, so let's head down to the docks. We're the festival guides, and we'll show you around.
Yes, that's right. We are bards from Mondstadt. Word has it that Inazuma has undergone many changes of late. We hope to find fresh inspiration here.
These guests are all bards, aren't they? Well, where's Tone-Deaf Bard then? Huh. Strange. He's pretty famous in Mondstadt. Do you think he didn't receive an invitation? Huh? Why's that? Oh, Paimon sees what you're getting at. Even though Venti no longer rules over Mondstadt, he's still an Archon. If he came rushing to Inazuma at the first mention of a festival, not only would it seem a little childish, it would also sort of be shameless of him too.
Miss Honorary Knight, Paimon!
It's Klee! Were you also invited to the Iridori Festival?
No, Albedo's the one who received the invitation. But because everyone in the Knights of Favonius has been really busy these days, Albedo arranged for someone here to issue me a dependent pass.
Greetings, Traveler and Paimon. After hearing that Inazuma was making preparations for the Irodori Festival, I predicted that I might run into you here.
Ha! Paimon knew it! Albedo's the one they've invited to paint the 5 Kassen!
It seems that you already know why I'm here. Just so you're aware, I'll be using my pen name in Inazuma, Calx. Oh, by the way, do you know where the International Trade Association is? I'll be meeting with the editorial director of the Yae Publishing House there.
Yeah, the International Trade Association is where you'll be staying in Inazuma. We'll be heading there too.
Great. Let's get going then.
Ta-ta-ta!
Wow, it's so beautiful here! So many things I've never seen before.
Slow down, Klee. Please be careful not to bump into others. Telling Klee so many stories about Inazuma during the trip was probably not the best idea. As a result, she could hardly sleep all the way here. It appears she's even more excited now that we've arrived. Strange. It seems that the editorial director, Mr. Hiroyama, isn't here yet. I'm certain he said that he'd be sure to arrive before me. This might be a problem. Well, Mr. Hiroyama was supposed to meet with me and give me some reference materials about the 5 Kassen today. That way, I could better visualize the content for my paintings.
You mean you had no idea what you'd be painting before you arrived in Inazuma?
I only know of the 5 Kasen by name. Because of the sheer age of the tale, very little has been passed down to this day. So Mr. Hiroyama decided to help me collect some more information. I'm the type of painter who can complete a painting quickly as long as I'm inspired. So I agreed on only receiving the details today.
So when do the paintings have to be done by?
According to the festival plans, the portraits will be revealed one at a time throughout the various stages of the Irodori Festival. The first one, depicting Suiko, will need to be done before the festival's official opening ceremony, which is the day after tomorrow.
The day after tomorrow? Then you're already running out of time!
There's no need to panic. When I was working on light novel illustrations, because the manuscripts are shipped by boat, things were always tight and finished at the last minute. Just last month, to ensure the latest book of A Legend of Sword would be finished for the Irodori Festival, I had to complete the final chapter's illustrations the same day I received the manuscript. I heard that my illustrations were sent to print as soon as they arrived in Inazuma. I still don't know how well they turned out.
Paimon isn't sure if she should feel sympathetic for your working conditions or compliment you on your artistic genius.
Of course, I would still prefer to receive any possible reference materials in advance so that I can be better prepared.
Oh, right! The editors of the Yai Publishing House will all be around the Outlander Affairs Agency these next few days. Who knows? Maybe Mr. Hirayama's over there too. We'll take you over there to see if we can find him, Albedo.
Alright, it's worth a try. Klee, you haven't slept for a while now. Please stay at our residence in the International Trade Association and get some rest. We will be back soon.
Okie dokie. Don't worry, Albedo. I'll be on my best behavior.
Which one should I choose?
Please be mindful of your personal safety at all times.
This can't be happening. The moment we need to contact Onodera is when he's on special leave. Kuroda and I will go back to Inazuma City for an emergency printing run. The demand for this book is so high, though. Even with the emergency prints, it still might not be enough.
Despite everything, we're still lucky that we found out today. If this had happened a few days later, then we'd really be in boiling water. Hey, do you think that suspicious guy they found in the warehouse has anything to do with this?
Well, the editorial director is on his way over there to investigate the situation as we speak.
Sorry to interrupt, but what's going on here?
Oh, hey, Traveler. Don't worry. It's nothing, just an internal issue. That's all. How can I help you?
I'm looking for the editorial director, Mr. Hiroyama. Does anyone know where he is now?
Mr. Hirayama is currently at the warehouse down by the harbor.
Oh, hold on a second, Murata. Excuse me, but you must be Calx, the one who was invited to paint the 5 Kasen for the festival?
Yes, that's me.
My name is Kuroda. You must be inquiring about information regarding the 5 Kasen. I do apologize, but please make yourself comfortable at the International Trade Association, and I will let Mr. Hirayama know to send you the materials right away.
Oh, no need. You guys look super busy, so we can go find him ourselves.
About that.
Excuse me, but is there something wrong with the latest volume of A Legend of Sword?
Huh? How did you know?
Since you were all aware that Mr. Hiroyama needed to send me some supporting materials, that means the editorial director didn't forget about it. Instead, something urgent must have cropped up. To add to that, despite being aware that I am Calx, you were still unwilling to let me go to Mr. Hiroyama directly. After considering these factors, the only reason you would try to stall me is if something happened to A Legend of Sword, which I did the illustrations for.
Well, I'm very sorry. The situation is just as you said, Calx. I suppose it doesn't hurt to tell you now. Earlier today, someone spotted a suspicious outlander sneaking around inside the Iridori Festival warehouse down by the docks. So they promptly alerted the Tenryo Commission. The Tenryo Commission was concerned about potential cargo theft, so they contacted everyone who was renting space in the warehouse. It was then that we realized that the latest copies of A Legend of Sword had suddenly gone missing.
What? The books are missing?
Shh, not so loud. Not only is this book an eagerly anticipated release in the last phase of the Iridori Festival, but the author, Hues, will be personally attending the release party as well.
Because of the dire situation, Mr. Hirayama immediately hurried to the warehouse to determine whether the theft was related to that suspicious outlander.
I see. It would be a great misfortune if A Legend of Sword would not be released on schedule. And quite a disappointment for Hues as well. If Mr. Hirayama has gone to the warehouse at the docks, then I'll go down to see if I can be of any help.
So the author of A Legend of Sword is Hues. Sounds familiar. Hey, isn't that Xingqiu's pen name?
Oh, do you know him?
Xingqiu would definitely be upset if he discovers his books are missing. Let's accompany Albedo to the warehouse, too.
To request a fan fiction booth, please apply here.
It's you! Why are you here?
I'm here on behalf of the Tenryo Commission, of course. Is that surprising?
No, Sarah, Paimon wasn't talking about you! So, Tone-Deaf Bard. The suspicious outlander in the warehouse wouldn't happen to be you, would it?
Considering the evidence, it appears that the suspicious outlander is indeed me.
As I have told you, you are a suspect. Before your allegations of theft and illegal entry as a stowaway are cleared, you are to remain silent. Don't make me say it again. Traveler, Paimon, do you know this self-proclaimed bard from Mondstadt?
Listen, Sarah. Knowing him, it's safe to say that he wasn't behind the theft. But what's this about being a stowaway?
Although he claims to be a special guest for the Iridori Festival, he's failed to present his invitation letter. Therefore, we can only suspect that he might have entered the country illegally. And just a moment ago, we caught him in a dandelion wine crate near the Sailing Breeze. If it would help shed any light on the situation, then please, be my guest.
Oh, Fenty! You didn't really come here illegally, did you?
Ouch, your words wound me. We've been apart for so long, and the moment we meet again, all I'm greeted with is grilling questions and suspicious glares. You arrived in Inazuma via similar means, or so I heard. You of all people should be more understanding, don't you think?
Similar means?
I merely jest. Fear not, for the person who sent me the invitation is none other than Kamisato Ayato of Yashiro Commission. It's unlikely that someone acquainted with the likes of him would ever be here illegally, right?
But why weren't you on the same ship as the other bards?
Well, once I received the invitation letter, I couldn't help but want to come to Inazuma a little early. It was then that I happened upon a cargo ship bound for Inazuma transporting dandelion wine. So, naturally, I decided to set sail with them. Once aboard, I found the captain to be a kindred spirit, and I was treated to an abundance of fine liquor along the way. I must have fallen asleep in the cargo crate while carefully comparing the tastes of dandelion wine and Inazuman sake. And when I woke up, I found myself in this warehouse with a Tenryo Commission General glaring at me from atop the grate.
Coming from Venti, this story is quite believable, but it still feels a bit...
Excuse me, I'm the owner of the stolen goods from the IA Publishing House, and there are some questions I would like to ask you. Based on what you just said, it seems you've been in the warehouse for some time now. If that's the case, did you happen to hear anything unusual?
Actually, I did hear some faint footsteps around me a couple of times, but I didn't consider the sound anything out of the ordinary.
Hmm? But if you clearly heard something, why didn't you feel it was unusual?
Oh, I seem to understand now.
Huh? What did you notice, Albedo?
When it comes to burglars, they are generally associated with prying or rummaging through things. What Venti means is that he did not hear anything unusual like that. As for the sound of footsteps, because this is a warehouse where many goods are coming in and out each day, it is quite normal for people to be walking around.
I see. But if that's the case, then we're back to square one regarding the stolen books.
No, not quite. From the facts that have been presented to us, we can draw at least 3 conclusions now. First, whoever took the novels is not a spur-of-the-moment burglar. They had their sights on the books from the very beginning. Second, the culprit was very familiar with the warehouse, and might even have a key. And third... I knew you'd catch on, Traveler. One person couldn't possibly transport so many heavy books in such a short window of time. It must have been a team effort. It goes without saying that Venti clearly does not match up with our culprits.
Yes, I agree with your reasoning. Mr. Hirayama, the Tenryo Commission will continue by investigating the warehouse staff. If you come across any further clues, please notify us immediately.
Yes, understood. I'll leave it to you then.
I suppose I'm free as a bird then.
Not so fast. Even though we've cleared the theft allegations, we still haven't ascertained whether your arrival in Inazuma was legal or not.
Aw, 'tis a shame. I thought surely after my honest account you might let me off the hook.
Sara's quite the meticulous one. So, where's your invitation letter, Venti?
Yes, the invitation letter. I'm truly sorry. I can't seem to remember where I may have put it.
How could you lose something so important?
Don't be mistaken. I was well aware of how important it was. But I didn't bring any luggage with me, and the letter was too big to fit in my pocket. So I kept it in my hand the whole trip. Strange. Though I had a little too much to drink, I know that I kept it in a secure place. I even recall being most pleased at coming up with a good idea at the time.
If you were holding the invitation in your hand the whole time, then why did you put it down?
Well, to properly compare the taste of Mondstadt wine and Inazuman sake, I had to hold a glass in each hand. I couldn't both hold the invitation and a glass at the same time. But surely I wouldn't put it in just any random place. It could easily be misplaced.
In which case, I believe there's only one place it could be. Have you figured it out, Traveler?
Huh? You're way ahead of Paimon. Do you two already know where the invitation letter is?
Ah, yes! I remember now. I knew you'd help me find it.
This is indeed an invitation letter issued by the Yashiro Commission. Now that we've confirmed this guest's identity, I have no further questions. However, starting tonight, I would advise you to stay at the International Trade Association. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be leaving now.
There goes Zara. All right, let's go talk to Mr. Mr. Hirayama about Albedo's reference materials.
Mr. Hirayama, I'm Calx. We had originally arranged to meet today.
Ah, yes, so you are Calx. I'm very sorry that you've arrived in Inazuma only to find such a mess. These are the materials regarding the 5 Kasen. All the information that we could find is compiled here.
Let's see here. Yes, it's just as I had suspected. Monikers such as Suiko and Aoi no Okina aren't the real names of the 5 Kasen. Though there were once many stories regarding each of the 5 Kasen, the validity of their contents can no longer be verified in present times. Alas, what a shame. But, at the very least, we know that most of the stories were written according to a similar style, so there is still something we may glean from this.
So, is the info useful for your paintings, Albedo?
To some extent, yes. However, I must admit that it is still lacking and, fails to fulfill the most crucial element. Inspiration.
I am sorry that this information is not as exhaustive as you had hoped. However, it is not possible to gather anything more at the moment. Though, Lady Yae did say that there are many variations of the story about the 5 Kasen, and everyone has a different story in their heart. So all you need to do is follow through with what's in your own heart, and create something that you yourself find interesting.
That does sound like something Miko would say.
Thank you, Mr. Hirayama. No need to worry. I'll find inspiration for the portraits.
Great. I'll leave it to you then, Calx. Oh, and there's one more thing I need to ask of everyone. Tomorrow morning, Mr. Genyu, the author of A Legend of Sword, will be arriving in Inazuma by boat. If you see him, please do not mention the stolen novels for the time being. Whether the stolen books are eventually recovered or not, the Yae Publishing House will do its best to ensure that the novel's release is a success. You have my gratitude. I'll be going then.
Well, seems there's nothing more we can do here. Let's go. Huh? Betty? What are you doing over there? You don't want us to leave you behind, do you?
Traveler, Albedo, would you mind coming over here for a moment? There's something peculiar that I think you should see.
What is it, Venti? A piece of paper?
Indeed. When I awakened to find myself in the warehouse this morning, I discovered this paper in the cargo crate where I was sleeping. I didn't think much of it then. I thought it was merely a scrap piece of paper that had fallen into the cargo. After a quick glance, I stuffed it into a place nearby. But on second thought, I think it's worth having you take a look at what's written on it.
Let me see. Suiko chapter. Wait a minute. Isn't Suiko the name of one of the 5 Kasen?
The story told in this poem roughly boils down to Suiko getting tipsy and letting some poems that were meant for the shogun get stolen. Ah, this story sounds familiar to my ear. Where have I heard it?
Seriously? It's literally the same story you just experienced yesterday!
Oh, indeed it is. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes, I concur. The person who left this paper could quite possibly be the criminal, or even a witness to the theft. But why leave the paper here in such a fashion? And if the one who left it here was a witness, why didn't they attempt to stop the burglary?
All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Meeting together in Inazuma like this is a most rare occasion. Since we've been busy from the start of the day, let us find an inn with good drink to keep our thirst at bay.
Hey! You just sobered up and you're already thinking about more drinks? And let's not forget that Albedo still has a portrait to complete. We don't have time to be slacking off.
No, it's fine. Let's all go for a drink together. It'll be my treat.
Wait a minute. What about your portrait?
As I mentioned before, I'm the kind of artist who can work quickly once I'm inspired. And now, it seems I've found my source of inspiration. If I use a model as reference for the piece, we must pay him back with the appropriate recompense.
In that case, we'll need to order more dishes. One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
Wow, you really came through, Albedo. You were able to complete the first portrait before the opening ceremony.
Yes, it really is a sight to behold. Not only does it harken to the traditional style of Inazuma, but it also makes use of modern aesthetics. My figure is particularly striking. Even though I'm sound asleep in the portrait, I still appear as glorious as always.
Hey, don't get too full of yourself, Tone-Deaf Bard. You were just a model. The person in the artwork isn't actually you. Well, Albedo, who will be your next portrait?
The next one will be Aoi no Okina of the 5 Kasen.
Albedo, might I suggest waiting a little before starting on the next one? Who knows? You might soon discover another story.
Another story?
I believe he's referring to the possibility of finding another paper with tales of the 5 Kasen. According to the reference materials I was given, we've only found the first of a total of 4 chapters.
Do you think the mysterious person who left the first paper will strike again?
It certainly is a possibility. Also, there are some points regarding the stories of the 5 Kasen that have left me rather curious. For example, the reference materials make mention of 5 legendary figures, yet all the popular stories only consist of 4 parts. It appears that throughout all the stories, there is never a chapter dedicated to Kuronushi.
Yes, I'm also curious about these stories myself. But who knows? They may merely be akin to the old saying in Mondstadt. Seeds of stories brought by the wind and cultivated by time. So for now, we need but just wait patiently.
Enjoy the blessing of...
The assumption that every person has somewhere to call home is naive. I got used to living in the mountains alongside the birds and beasts a long time ago.
Well, since you...
real world at times like these, is it not customary to use an umbrella?
A blade in...
Sky is clearing up, and so is my mood. I just hope no one shows up to bother me. If they do, I'll just make them disappear.
The passenger ship from Liyue that we're supposed to meet should be arriving soon. Let's go to the docks. You know that Xingqiu will be on board, right? So we should be careful not to say anything about the stolen novels. You must be visiting from Liyue to participate in the Iridori Festival. We'll be your guides, and we'll take you onto the island. Huh? Is it Paimon, or have we met somewhere before?
Yes, in fact we have. I'm Hues from Feiyun Commerce Guild. Aboard this ship we have calligraphers, painters, and even players of Theater Mechanicus. The inventor of Theater Mechanicus previously came to the Feiyun Commerce Guild seeking investment. Although the guild manager was not interested, Master still wanted to support them. We heard that they'd be demonstrating the game and letting people try Theater Mechanicus at the Iridori Festival. So the guild manager instructed Master and I to take the opportunity to come to Inazuma and investigate the product's potential.
Oh, speaking of which, where's the young master?
Master, he's,
Whoa! Xingqiu's just sitting there. Sound asleep.
What? Oh. It's the Traveler and Paimon. I presume you are guests in Inazuma as well? It seems fate has destined our paths to cross once again.
Oh, we aren't actually guests. We're actually guides for the Iridori Festival.
Please, no need to worry. I was a little too caught up in a novel on the voyage here. When I finally realized what time it was, the first rays of dawn were already peeking over the horizon. Yes, now that we've arrived, the Kanjo Commission will likely wish to inspect our invitation letter. Let's keep it in hand, shall we? Huh? That's odd. There was a piece of paper underneath my bag. Strange. I don't recall seeing it there before.
Ooh, let Paimon have a look! Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's from the same series as the story we found before! Even the handwriting looks exactly the same!
The story you found before?
Oh, yeah! In the warehouse down by the... The poem hunt competition! Yeah, that's it! A friend of ours is on Rito to paint portraits of the 5 Kasen. You know, as part of the Iridori Festival. Poetic stories about the 5 Kasen have been hidden in various places nearby. If you can find one of the stories and give it to this friend of ours, then there's a chance you'll become the model for the next portrait.
Wait a moment. So you mean that... There's a chance of meeting Calx in person?
Huh? Oh, yeah. You could say that.
Really? That's wonderful! I knew that Calx would attend the Irodori Festival, but convincing my father to let me come to Inazuma was proving to be quite the high hurdle. I had to really rack my mind to come up with the excuse of evaluating the investment value of Theater Mechanicus. Just a few days later, word then came that Calx would be busy painting portraits of the 5 Kasen during the festival. It is a most rare opportunity for both Calx and I to be in Inazuma together, but it seemed he would be too busy with the portraits to meet with me. So, I felt quite disappointed for some time now.
Don't worry, Xingqiu. Even though Calx has work to do, he still has time to see friends. We can take you to see him right now. Also, we heard that Calx did illustrations for your A Legend of Sword novel.
Ah, so you've already heard. To be honest, my works have drawn little interest in Liyue. However, the novels are selling quite well in Inazuma with the help of Calx's beautiful illustrations. Calx is not only a skilled artist, but he also carries out his craft with great alacrity. I heard that it took him merely a few hours to finish the illustrations for the latest chapter. But when I looked at the art, the brushwork did not even look the slightest bit rushed. His work is truly exquisite. Oh my, I was beginning to get carried away there. Let us depart, quickly now.
Luckily, the idea of meeting Albedo managed to draw Xingqiu's attention and keep the situation under wraps. Let's just hope we don't let anything slip while meeting Albedo.
You'll see in the sun.
Traveler, Paimon, how are you? And who is this accompanying you?
You must be Calx. It's a great pleasure to finally meet you. I am the author of A Legend of Sword, forgive me. It's rude of me to introduce myself by my pen name when meeting in person. Please, call me Xingqiu.
And you may call me Albedo, then.
No, that would be most improper.
Why not? Seeing as we're both friends of the Traveler, it'd be more convenient for us to use our real names. Besides, we've already corresponded with each other many times before. In fact, I feel a bit self-conscious seeing you act so politely.
It's not just you, Albedo. We haven't seen Xingqiu act this awkward before either.
You guys, it's certainly not good taste for you two to be teasing me like that. Oh, by the way, we happened to find a story from the poem hunt competition at the docks. I heard that you are collecting them.
Poem hunt?
You know, that thing where we have to find pieces of paper with stories of the 5 Kasen? Venti found one, and then he was allowed to be a model for one of your portraits.
Huh? Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, I understand the story now. Thank you. It's very helpful.
Splendid. Though, I'm still piecing together the story myself. Would you kindly explain it to me in more detail?
If all of you are free, why don't we discuss this over a meal?
Well, about that.
Do you have other plans, Xingqiu?
No, not at all. Speaking of dining, Shimura's unagi chasuke is quite delicious. Would you like to go there?
Shimura's? Unfortunately, today is a bit windy. How about Uyu Restaurant instead?
That's perfectly fine with me. But I must first unpack my luggage. Let's meet later at Uyu Restaurant.
Something didn't quite add up just now.
Huh? No way! Paimon thinks we acted well together. Did we say something we weren't supposed to?
No, Paimon, I'm not referring to us. Traveler, what are your thoughts?
Huh? Xingqiu's suspicious? Hey, what are you two talking about?
Paimon, you read the poem, right? Although it may seem confusing to Xingqiu on its own, what if we read it together with a previous poem we found?
Read them together? Let's see. Suiko lost Aoi no Okina's poem in a drunken stupor. So, Aoi no Okina recovered the poem and gave it to some mysterious person. Huh? Wait a minute. Could today's story be hinting that the one who stole the latest copies of A Legend of Sword is Xingqiu himself? No way! That can't be right! Xingqiu only arrived in Inazuma this morning!
And that is precisely the point of suspicion. If Xingqiu had only just arrived in Inazuma, how could he recommend Shimura's Chazuke? Moreover, he didn't raise any questions when I suggested another place because of the windy weather. This means he knows that Shimura's is an open-air restaurant.
Are you saying that Xingqiu has already been in Inazuma for some time? And that he's only pretending he just arrived?
Yes, that is indeed my conclusion.
But how could Xingqiu be the book thief? His mission is to fight for justice, isn't it? There's no way he'd do something against his own ideals.
Calm down, Paimon. Even though this is the first time I've met Xingqiu in person, we've communicated via letters for some time now. I do have some understanding of his character. I think there must be some deeper motive at play here. The story also tells us that Aoi no Okina flees with a poem because of a threat.
Oh? Could Xingqiu be in danger?
It's difficult to say at this point. But given that Uyu Restaurant is indoors, it'll be easy for us to detect anyone following or eavesdropping on us. I think it should be safe for us to talk there. I'll be relying on your assistance to get to the bottom of this matter. Good. Then let's head to Uyu Restaurant.
Welcome home, almighty Shogun.
Is there...
I don't see anyone suspicious around. It seems clear for the moment. Let's go inside and wait for Xingqiu.
Oh, this whole thing's starting to make Paimon a little nervous. What do we do? And what do we talk about when Xingqiu gets here?
First, we must ascertain whether Xingqiu was already in Inazuma or not. If we can find evidence of him deceiving us, then we can use it as leverage to persuade him to tell us the truth. Since we're still waiting for him, why don't you go and chat with other guests in the restaurant and see if you can learn anything useful?
The last phase of the Irodori Festival is when they release the all-new publications. The one I'm really looking forward to is A Legend of Sword.
That's right. A signed first edition is going to become quite the collectible. I've got to get my hands on a copy.
I've seen Genyu's signature before. His handwriting is super neat. He must be really diligent about his style.
He'll be there in person on the day of the release, so we'll get a good look at him then. I hear that he's actually pretty young.
Wait a minute. Did you just hear that? Not only will Xingqiu be signing novels at the release, but his handwriting is super neat?
Welcome to Uyu Restaurant. Please
Hello there. What can I get for you?
Hi! Do you have any special recommendations today?
Why, of course. I'd personally recommend our freshly caught seafood. It's been pouring these past few days, so the fishing boats haven't been able to sail at all. But the weather finally cleared up today, so we have some fresh catch.
So the weather at sea has been bad these past few days?
It sure has. A few guests from Liyue were just telling me that their boat was heaving and rolling all the way here. They couldn't do anything but sleep the entire trip.
Oh, this might be some useful information.
Welcome to Uyu Restaurant. Please.
Albedo, what should we talk about when Shincho gets here? Any ideas?
I will try to break the ice by talking about our work on novels and illustrations. If he really is hiding something, then he might feel even more nervous than we do. If we start by talking about our work creating novels, perhaps he will lower his guard.
Oh, come to think of it, Shincho mentioned that he'd like to thank you for finishing the illustrations on time. He said they looked amazing despite the time you had.
Is that so? That is also a very valuable clue.
That was delicious. Inazuman cuisine largely consists of fresh seafood, which is certainly to my liking.
That's good. We were worried you might not have an appetite because you didn't sleep well. Now's our chance. Let's talk to Shincho and see if he says anything useful. Maybe we could start by asking him about the journey.
To be honest, there wasn't much to see. Just water all around, morning to night. The sheer monotony of the trip caused everyone to grow a little impatient. So, when the peak of Mount Yogo finally appeared in the distance as we approached the islands of Inazuma, everyone crowded the deck to have a look. However, the ship sailed along at a crawling pace. It took a whole day from the time we saw the mountain peak to the time we docked.
Paimon didn't catch anything suspicious so far. Oh, right! If it took an entire day to reach the docks, then it would have been pouring rain at the time they saw the top of the mountain.
We learned a couple of things from his account, but we still require more evidence. Let's discuss creating novels with Shincho.
Speaking of illustrations, Albedo, I've long wished to express my sincerest gratitude for providing the illustrations in my novel. My novel didn't sell well in Liyue, so I must admit that I had some reservations regarding its potential. Yet you've consistently managed to select the most important scene of the chapter for your illustrations. This made me feel as though what I was trying to express could be understood after all.
Thank you. However, I took some risks in the illustrations, so I'm feeling slightly uneasy myself. Light novel illustrations are typically centered around the characters, but this time, I adopted a different approach in the illustration for the last chapter.
Well, that scene was intended to depict the change in the world, so I thought it very fitting to draw only scenery.
Doesn't sound like anything suspicious has come up so far.
No, there was a crack in his alibi. My illustrations were sent for printing the moment they arrived in Inazuma. So, logically speaking, there's no way he could possibly know what the illustrations look like. Shincho, we have something very important to ask you now.
Oh? Why the solemn looks all of a sudden? Huh? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Mr. Okazaki told us earlier that actually the weather at sea was very bad these last few days. So when you said that everyone came running to the deck to see Mount Yogo, that couldn't have happened!
On top of that, the latest installment of A Legend of Sword will only be revealed at the Irodori Festival. Even we, the creators, haven't received a sample copy. And if that's the case, how could you know what my illustrations look like?
Well...
The jig's up, Xingqiu. You were already in Inazuma before today, weren't you? Are you in some kind of danger but can't tell us the truth? Don't worry. The Traveler and Albedo are no pushovers. We can help you.
No, please. You misunderstand me. I suppose my lack of sleep is inevitably taking its toll on my mind. I didn't notice for a moment that you were testing me at all. I did in fact come to Inazuma early to handle some things. Let me consider how to explain this. Oh, this is most embarrassing.
Oh, well, if this isn't a coincidence, I didn't expect to see everyone here.
Huh? Tone-deaf Bard, what are you doing here?
I heard that the owner of this establishment has some fine-aged wines. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to taste them.
Paimon knew you couldn't possibly be up to anything good.
Says who? In fact, I come as the bearer of good tidings. I just bumped into Kujo Sara a moment ago. She said that the Tenryou Commission has apprehended the criminal who stole all those copies of A Legend of Sword. You needn't worry about it any longer.
Huh? The criminal who stole A Legend of Sword?
Did I say something I shouldn't have?
Oh no. The person they apprehended. Was it by chance an editor named Onodera?
Apologies, Kujo Sara didn't mention a name. But I saw her taking someone toward Hanamizaka.
Everyone, it's too late to explain. We must make haste and rescue Onodera.
You restaurant. Please, talk to me if you want to order.
Please, wait. Onodera is innocent.
Oh, so you must be the author of A Legend of Sword. I didn't expect to see others tagging along with you.
Anyway, you mustn't take him away. I can explain everything.
No need to worry, Zhenyu. I've just explained everything to Madame Kujo, and Kuroda has testified for me.
Yes. In fact, we were just getting ready to leave.
Oh, phew. What a relief. Wait a minute. Does everyone else here already know?
Well, to be precise, we had dispatched 2 additional squads here, in order to prevent the suspect from escaping.
Xingqiu looks pretty flustered. What exactly is going on here?
Though it's most embarrassing, it appears quite a few people are aware of the situation now. There's no use keeping it a secret. In the end, I'm the one responsible for this whole predicament.
No, Zhenyu. It's only appropriate that I take responsibility for this. Everyone, please let me explain. For the Irodori Festival, I recommended the idea of selling newly released novels signed by the authors. Not only was this the first major project I was in charge of since joining the Yae Publishing House, but Lady Yae also gave me a lot of support. However, I did not discuss our plans with the authors in advance. As a result, it caused a great deal of trouble for Zhenyu.
Yes, to be frank, calligraphy is not my strong point, so signing events are really not my forte.
Even though such an event will be difficult for Zhenyu, after telling him how important the plans were to me, he immediately boarded a ship to Inazuma to come up with a solution. So these past few days, Zhenyu has been actively practicing his handwriting. However, it takes time to sign each book, and we realized the time we reserved for the signing was not nearly enough. So I came up with the idea of moving the new books from the warehouse to my place. That way, Genyu could use these few days to sign them all. I thought everything would work out without a hitch. I never expected that someone would immediately realize that the books were missing from the warehouse. To make things worse, I was on vacation and staying with Genyu in my house these past few days. I had no idea that the situation had turned into such a huge mess. All of this happened because I wanted to prove myself through this event.
Onodera, I agreed to your proposal because I didn't want the readers to know of my unsightly handwriting. Also, I knew that Onodera had been misled by one of my prior signatures. At a previous event, the Yae Publishing House had requested autographs of authors so that they could be put on display. I practiced tirelessly for an entire day to finally deliver a stylish and elegant signature for the event. But looking back on it now, I had dug myself into a hole by delivering that nice signature for the sake of my pride.
Hey, come on, you two. Loosen up a little. The theft was nothing more than a simple misunderstanding. Besides, everyone has something they do not wish others to see.
Yeah, that's right. All that matters is that Shincho and his books are okay.
Onodera, I think you should explain the truth regarding the stolen books to the rest of the people on Rito.
Yes, I understand. I'll apologize to everyone.
We should probably be heading back to Rito as well. Let's tag along.
Onodera, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be on leave these few days?
I'm very sorry for all the trouble that I've caused.
Yes, Onodera, but why didn't you tell everyone earlier? If you had told us, we could have thought of some ways to help you.
That's right. We're a team, and we should be helping each other in tough situations like this.
Let's leave the past behind us now. Our first priority is to help Genyu with his signatures. How is your progress so far?
My progress is not what I had hoped for. Even after working through the night these past few days, I've only finished perhaps 1/10 of the signatures.
Oh, no wonder Shincho looked so sleepy today.
I understand. Murata, go back to Yae Publishing House and get Aratani to book a room on the second floor of the Uyu restaurant. We'll be using it for Genyu's emergency calligraphy lessons.
Yes, Mr. Hirayama. It just so happens that my brother is a calligrapher. Should I ask him to lend his assistance as well?
Yes, good idea. Ah, you've just reminded me. 2 calligraphers from Liyue arrived today. We've worked with them before, so I'll go and ask them to help out too.
It seems I'm really in for it now.
No need to worry, Genyu. I'm sure you can do it. Didn't you finish the last chapter of your novel in just 1 week's time?
Yes, but writing novels and learning calligraphy are 2 entirely different skills.
Even though Shincho still has to deal with his handwriting issue, Paimon somehow feels a little relieved now.
I always used to prefer working alone in my workshop, but I've come to realize that solving problems with others also has its merits.
We also owe a special ode of gratitude to the mysterious person who has been leaving important info for us along the way.
Huh? You mean whoever left behind those stories about the 5 Kasen?
Pardon me, but what are you talking about?
Oh, right. We haven't had a chance to explain things to Shincho yet.
I see. It appears that Onodera and I were spotted when we were moving the books. Albedo, may I ask you one thing? Are you able to include me in a portrait as well? Not only do I owe the successful resolution of today's incident to that story, but I also hope that I'll remember this lesson.
No problem. Considering the similarities between the portrait and the events that have taken place, your proposal is very reasonable.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akahito.
Mind be purged.
Albedo really is something. He finished the portrait of Aoi no Okina in no time at all. Wonder how Shincho's calligraphy training is going at Uyu Restaurant. Hey, do you think whoever left those stories for us could be hiding somewhere nearby? Oh, hello? Mr. Storywriter? Are you here? Could you please help Shincho with something? He's a friend of ours, and the release of his new book is super important to him. Oh, what's that sound? It was just a cat. Looks like we can't make them reveal themselves that easily. It's getting late now. Well, let's go back and get some rest. We still have to go to the docks and wait for another ship tomorrow morning.
Blessing now 10% off. You've now arrived at the magnificent Iridori Festival event venue.
Come! Try your hand at Theater Mechanica!
It's already time for us to be at the docks. Let's go! The arrival schedule says ship stopover, 1 person. Does that mean we're only welcoming 1 guest today? Look! That figure on the wharf! It looks like Kazuha!
Greetings, traveler in Paimon. I heard there would be guides for the Iridori Festival, but I didn't expect it would be you two.
We didn't expect to see you either! Returning as a guest for the Iridori Festival, no doubt.
I was a little surprised myself when I received the invitation. But after wandering the outside world for so long, it's good to have an opportunity to return to my homeland and pay respects to my old friends.
Kazuha, when we saw you in the distance just now, you seemed to be looking for something. What happened?
Ah, yes. You see, when I came off the boat with everyone just now, I suddenly heard light footsteps around me. I could tell they were not footsteps of a regular passenger. But by the time I turned around, the person had already disappeared. I only heard a splash come from below the pier. Even though I didn't manage to catch a glimpse of them, I found this strange piece of paper by my feet.
Oh, does the paper happen to have a poem written on it?
Huh. How did you know? Fascinating. It's almost hard to believe such things could happen. Sure, here it is. Please, have a look.
Last time, Aoi no Okina's poem ended with a reference to Akihito. And sure enough, this is a story about him. The story this time basically says that Akihito got his name from his love of red seals. However, the shogun discovered that he had committed plagiarism, and he was soon exiled. Well, if Paimon were to rate today's story, it sounds pretty unfortunate.
I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with this story. I too was once wanted as a criminal by the shogunate, so I'm not all that different from Akihito mentioned in this story.
But according to the story, Akihito was exiled by the shogun because of his wrongdoings. You did nothing wrong, Kazuha. Huh? Traveler, what are you thinking about?
Ah, by the way, you mentioned that your friend has been struggling because he's unable to sign his name quickly, right? In Liyue and Inazuma, there is a saying, that which has been stamped has also been signed. Perhaps using a seal could be a feasible solution. While sailing at sea, I sometimes carve things to pass the time. If you wish to create a stamp for his seal, I might be able to help.
Wow, that's an idea! Quick, let's go tell Albedo! Albedo, we figured out a way to help Shincho!
Interesting. A story of the 5 Kasen appears again, and with a timely solution. A stamped seal, huh? Let me think. Indeed, it is an efficient solution. If we use a stamp, then Xingqiu won't have to struggle with his handwriting anymore. However... since Xingqiu's signature has been previously revealed to the readers, it would seem insincere if he only used the stamped seal for his new books. But I have another idea. Using a seal is a part of it, of course. Let's go to Ouya Restaurant now to discuss my idea with everyone.
Welcome to Hues restaurant. Please talk to me if you want to order.
Yes, that's it, Jinyu. Your writing has greatly improved today, which means yesterday's intensive training was effective.
My apologies, but I simply can't do it anymore. My hands are so sore that I can't even move them anymore. Oh, I should have known better than to read novels during calligraphy class.
You just had a 10-minute break. Come on, you can do this.
When it comes to pushing a deadline, there's no one more brutal than Mr. Hirayama.
No wonder Lady Yai would always send the editorial director to handle troublesome authors.
Whoa, this is getting scary. It hasn't even been that long and Shicho's already zombified.
Mr. Hirayama, we found a solution that might just solve our dilemma. In both Liyue and Inazuma, seals are widely used as the equivalents of a signature. If we use a stamp to leave the author's seal on the books, then we could make the signature process a lot easier. Of course, a seal on its own is not enough. So, I propose that each signature consists of 2 parts. First, we'll use a personalized seal. We can simply carve one using Chenyu's signature as the design. In addition, I'll also design a simple but elegant pattern that's easy for Chenyu to write. That way, he will only need to draw a simple pattern on each book.
Let me think. All right, I think that would work. Not only does it still involve the author's own handwriting, but the result should be very beautiful as well.
So, what you mean to say is, I've been saved from this predicament?
Mr. Hirayama, it suddenly occurred to me that the reason we gave up on live book signings previously was because it would take too long for the author to sign each book. But if we adopted Calx's proposed method, we might have enough time to do signatures at the live event. And if all the authors signed their books in the same fashion, then Genyu's signature wouldn't look out of place.
If you think it's feasible, I would certainly be happy to design signatures for the other authors as well.
Yes, and you may leave carving the stamps to me.
In that case, I shall contact the other 2 authors participating in the new release event.
It is a great honor to use a signature designed by Calx.
My pen name is quite complicated and isn't suitable for signing events. However, if we implement this new format, then it'll be a dream come true for me as well.
Great! Looks like everyone's on board with the idea.
I'm sorry to have kept you busy for so long, Jinyu. Please, take the next few days to have a good rest. We'll handle everything from here. The books that Jinyu already signed can be used as special prizes in future events held by the Eye Publishing House.
We did it! The event is saved!
Thanks to everyone's efforts, Onodera and I are finally free of that mess.
That's right! You're finally free, Xingqiu! Maybe you should step outside for some fresh air. We still have some time to burn. Where should we go next?
Traveler, there you are.
Oh, it's Ayaka! And Venti! That's an interesting combo.
I was just going to the festival venue to prepare the Ikebana lesson when I found a strange piece of paper on a flower stand. This bard just happened to be close by at the time. He informed me that you've also found similar papers recently. As such, we came together to find you two.
But the paper she found isn't quite the same as the ones we found before.
Here's the paper. Please, have a look.
Huh. All the poems we found before were roughly the same length. But this one is only 2 lines.
And even though there are only 2 short sentences, neither of them are next to the title or centered on the page. The position of the writing seems to indicate that there is other content written on this paper besides these 2 lines.
If we take the poem literally, it reads, "Dip this paper in water and see the truth naturally appear." Speaking of which, I have an ancient text at home, specializing in ancient and exotic stories. It mentions a special ink that will show itself when wet and disappear when it's dry.
So, shall we give it a whirl? It just so happens that there's a pond nearby.
Wow, look! It's really working! More words have appeared on the paper! Let Paimon see what it says. The story says that after Sumizomi got the collection of poems from Akihito and put them into a stream of water, the plagiarized words in the poem became blurry. Huh? Why would that happen?
You see, Paimon, in the past, when printing was not yet well developed, handwritten text could easily become smudged in books when exposed to moisture. To ensure the text lasted longer, they'd either write using a special ink or coat the paper's surface with a waterproof coating once the writing was finished. Such special inks are time-consuming and laborious to produce, and the waterproof coating could also prove just as difficult. However, since Akihito's poetry collection was an important gift to be presented to the shogun, surely one of those two methods was used to protect it. But as for the plagiarized poems, not only would they lack Akihito's seal, but the words would also react differently when exposed to liquid.
Which means Akihito didn't plagiarize his work. He was set up!
Yes, it appears that this is the truth that Sumizome's story is trying to convey. Although the story is saddening, I've decided on the subjects to use for Akihito and Sumizome's portraits. Kazuha, Ayaka, would you be willing to be the models for my paintings?
I would be delighted.
Yes, as would I.
There you go. The next two portraits should be ready in no time.
Yes. And now that all 4 stories have all been collected, the story of the 5 Kasen is now fully completed.
Long ago, Inazuma had 5 legendary poets. People bestowed upon them the title of the 5 Kasen.
One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akihito.
Akihito had once belonged to the 5 Kasen. Each poem he composed, he marked with a scarlet red seal, hence the Aka in his name. Such a distinguished writer was he, and yet one of the poems he had submitted the previous year was found to be plagiarized. Akihito was exiled for his crimes, and only 4 of the 5 Kasen remained.
Sumizome went over Akihito's poems and noticed that the plagiarized poem lacked his seal. She immersed his poetry in a stream nearby, and only on the plagiarized poem did the ink run. Aoi no Okina passed by and witnessed Sumizome's doing, which he then recorded in a poem. Thus transpired the events of Suiko's poetry submission, and this is where the story comes to an end.
Yeah. Ever since we completed the story of the 5 Kasen, there's still one thing Paimon hasn't been able to figure out. One of the 5 Kasen is called Kuranushi, right? It's just that, how could the story of the 5 Kasen finish without him appearing at all?
Oh, have you really not noticed?
Huh? Not noticed what? This is no time to be playing games, Tone Deaf Bard!
What he means is that the story of Kuronushi was already embedded within the 4 poems.
Huh? Really?
That's right. The key lies in the poem that Aoi no Okina wrote after seeing Sumizome rinsing the poetry collection. An average person could never understand the scene of a young girl washing Akahito's poetry collection in a stream. Even Aoi no Okina couldn't figure out the meaning behind Sumizome's actions. He was simply reminiscing and thinking about his old acquaintances. However, for the perpetrator who framed Akahito, it was completely obvious. He was worried that if this poem was seen by the Shogun, then the Shogun could discover the truth behind the plagiarism incident. If that happened, then he'd be finished. So, in desperation, he threatened Aoi no Okina to make him tear out this poem.
Which means the one who threatened Aoi no Okina is the same person that framed Akahito. What? Kuranushi?
That's right. Though there are only 4 poems, they still managed to tell the complete story of all 5 Kasen. Since the Shogun mentioned in the poems is certainly not the one of the 5 Kasen, the only character left is the mysterious one with an unknown identity.
Oh, okay. Paimon is finally starting to get it now.
However, this also brings something else to mind. The story of the 5 Kasen has more or less reflected everything that's been happening around us lately. Which begs the question, is there a Kuronushi in our world as well?
A Kuronushi? In our world?
Speaking of which, I wonder if our dear Kazuha has come up with anything.
Oh, right! Kazuha! He's been pretty quiet this whole time. Let's ask him!
Welcome home, Almighty Shogun.
Make sure you get in line early to buy your special edition drink. Hey, Kazuha! Are you okay? You've been standing in front of this blank canvas for a while, and you don't look so good.
Apologies for making a wild assumption, but has the story of the 5 Kasen reminded you of anything?
Yes. A few things did come to mind, actually. However, they were nothing more than some past incidents regarding my family. I don't mind sharing the stories, but I'd prefer not to bring you any more trouble.
Hey, we're all friends here, Kazuha. You can always tell us whatever's on your mind.
Kaidehara, please forgive my assumption, but perhaps you were thinking of the Raiden Gokuden?
The Raiden Gokuden? What's that?
It appears that Miss Kamisato and I were thinking of the same thing. But it also has much to do with the Yashiro Commission. It would be improper to speak of it here without the consent of Miss Kamisato.
It's fine. Those of us here are all trustworthy, so there isn't any harm in it. However, this matter is somewhat complicated and may be difficult to explain. Let me start with the Raiden Gokuden. As you all know, The Yashiro Commission's primary purpose is managing ceremonial and cultural affairs, and Inazuma's art of forging swords is a very important part of our culture. The Raiden Gokuden were once the top 5 schools of the forging art in Inazuma. Although these families were swordsmiths by craft, they also held many important positions in the Yashiro Commission. Unfortunately, of the 5, only the Aminoma art still maintains its artisan lineage. The descendants of the Ishin art are also still alive, but the craft has been lost to time. The descendants of the Ishin art are none other than the Kaidehara family.
Whoa! We knew Kazuha came from a noble family, but we had no idea about his connection to the Yashiro Commission and sword making.
Yes, but that's all part of the past now. The Ishin art was lost with my great-grandfather's generation. My grandfather was dissatisfied with my great-grandfather's lack of effort. When he was young, my grandfather traveled all over Teyvat to find a way to revive the family business. But it was to no avail. And in my generation, our last remaining family property was lost as well.
I heard my elder brother mention that the decline of the Raiden Gokuden happened very rapidly. In the span of a few decades, 3 of the families suffered various misfortunes and disappeared completely. Later, there was speculation that all of these misfortunes stemmed from some background machinations, meaning that someone wanted to wipe out the Raiden Gokuden. However, since not every family of the Raiden Gokuden came to ruin, such explanations were treated as nothing more than a conspiracy theory.
Indeed. I've also believed such ideas were just theories and rumors. However, I know that a major incident happened to my great-grandfather when he was young. Not only did it affect the Kaedehara clan, but it nearly jeopardized the Kamisato clan's position in the Yashiro Commission as well. After reading the story of the 5 Kasen, I can't help but feel like it's pointing me toward the truth behind that incident.
What exactly happened to your great-grandfather, Kazuha?
I still can't say. I need to speak with someone to verify the details. Let's meet here again at noon tomorrow. I will tell you everything I know then.
Welcome home, almighty Shogun.
Kazuha said he would wait for us at the 5 Kasen Plaza today. Let's go find him there.
Ah, you're here. It appears everyone has arrived. Last night, I visited a former servant who once worked for my family. I was able to learn the entirety of what happened all those years ago. In my great-grandfather's generation, the Ishin art was tasked with forging an important Goshinto according to an ancient forging diagram. Though all the craftsmen involved were very experienced, the process was still unsuccessful. Every blade that was forged was defective. When the deadline came, the blade still wasn't finished, so the craftsmen all fled and hid for fear of punishment. The Kaedehara clan and Yashiro Commission then conducted an investigation. My great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan eventually tracked down the craftsmen near the seaside. However, they met fierce resistance from the craftsmen, and in the end they were unable to prevent them from escaping by sea. The Kaedehara clan was severely punished for the swordsmiths that had escaped, and the family gradually fell into decline. Moreover, I heard that the head of the Kamisato clan was injured by the fleeing swordsmiths, which combined with his advanced age caused him to pass away shortly thereafter.
Yes. The sudden passing of the family head left the Kamisato clan leaderless. Treacherous people took advantage of the situation and put the family's status in the Yashiro Commission at jeopardy. This single incident had profound effects. Even after the position as head of the clan was passed to my father, the Kamisato clan still wasn't able to regain its prior reputation. But, thanks to my brother, everything is getting better now.
The failure to forge the blade was ultimately attributed to a lack of required skill and finesse. The Kaedehara clan and the Yashiro Commission always believed that was the case. However, the story of the 5 Kasen seems to imply that the failure didn't stem from a lack of skill, but rather, the diagram had been tampered with by someone. Miss Kamisato, I heard yesterday that the Yashiro Commission has still kept the diagram ever since the failed forging all those years ago. Might I ask you to do me a favor?
Yes, I understand. I will go back and search for the diagram. Please come meet me at the Kamisato estate later.
The festivals always attract so many people.
Everyone, I've managed to find the old diagram.
Though the diagram is well preserved, you can still tell that it's seen at least 3 or 4 centuries of history.
Whoa, that's pretty old. Is it still possible to find any evidence of tampering?
At this point, we can only try our luck and see how we fare.
Although the effect is not too obvious, you can still see that some words have now started to smudge. Kazuha, this is clear evidence that this chart was indeed tampered with. Someone framed the Kaedehara clan all those years ago.
I see. But I fear that I've discovered this secret too late. When my grandfather was young, he proposed reviving the Ishin art many times to my great-grandfather. But my grandfather was only scolded for being too foolhardy. Yesterday, the former family servant said that my great-grandfather even went to the Yashiro Commission to request that diagram from the head of the Kamisato clan. He then showed that diagram to my grandfather and asked him and his subordinates to try to forge the sword. Sure enough, my grandfather also failed. My great-grandfather then told him, "If you can't find the secret within, then the Ishin art deserves to fade from the world. My grandfather left Inazuma in a rage after hearing those words. He didn't ever see my great-grandfather again, even till the day of his passing. Looking back at it now, the argument between the two of them was simply meaningless.
Oh, Kazuha.
I heard that your great-grandfather was very industrious when he was young, but later in life, he no longer bothered with the forging arts. It appears that his failure took quite a toll on him.
Kazuha, did your great-grandfather really say, "If you can't find the secret within"? Did he use those exact words?
Yes. The servant said that he personally heard those words, and still remembers them very clearly. My grandfather was so angry at the time that he smashed my great-grandfather's cherished bonsai tree.
Yes, it appears that you understand my meaning. Kazuha, if your great-grandfather thought that the Ishin art lacked finesse, then after witnessing his son's failure, wouldn't he have said something more along the lines of, "Your skills aren't sufficient"? But instead he said, "If you can't find the secret within." Don't you find that a little strange?
Huh? Oh. So you're saying my great-grandfather may have very well known that the failure was due to someone's tampering?
Yes. The current evidence suggests that is highly likely.
I apologize, but would you all please accompany me to the Tenryou Commission? After I became a wanted criminal, the Tenryou Commission seized my family's last remaining estate, which contained all of my family's old belongings. I want to inquire about the whereabouts of those belongings. If I can find them, we might be able to get some clues.
All right, let's get moving.
What are you all doing here? Did something happen on Rito?
Kujo Sara. Perhaps you still remember me.
Yes, I do. You're Kaedehara Kazuha, a wanted criminal during the Vision Hunt decree. However, your arrest warrant has since been repealed.
Sara, we'd like to ask about the Kaedehara clan's property that was seized by the Tenryou Commission. Do you know where all their belongings are now?
Yes, the items seized at that time are currently stored in the warehouse next to the police station. Since Kaedehara has come back to Inazuma, those items should be returned to their rightful owner.
No, I'm afraid you misunderstand. I'm not here to reclaim those belongings. I just want to investigate them for a personal matter.
I see. All right, I'll inform the police station. They'll take you into the warehouse.
Thank you, Sara!
Kaedehara, about the Vision Hunt decree.
That's all in the past now, Kujo Sara. There's no need to mention it again. I know you've also had your own convictions and struggles. However, may I ask something of you?
Yes? What is it?
Currently, I have no plans to stay in Inazuma. As a result, those items from my family's estate are of no use to me. Madam Kujo, I believe you are a person of integrity. After our investigation is over, I'd like to ask if you can handle those belongings for me. Please, sell them. and use the money to help the poor.
All right, I understand. I'll be sure to take care of it.
The defenses on the left side of the tower need to be strengthened.
Ah, you must be here to investigate the Kaedehara clan's belongings. Madame Kujo's already informed me of the situation. Please, come this way. The Kaedehara clan's belongings are stored in this warehouse. Unfortunately, the items are scattered throughout in order to save space. My deepest apologies. However, I have clearly marked the corresponding items, so they shouldn't be too difficult to find. I'll be waiting for you at the door. Please, come see me if you require any assistance.
Kazuha, since the items are scattered throughout the building, I propose we split up and look for clues.
Yes, sounds like a plan. Thanks for your help, everyone.
Oh, it's you. Unfortunately, I have yet to find anything of value here.
Whoa, this folding screen looks pretty old, though.
Yes, perhaps if it were better maintained, then it could fetch a decent price. However, I doubt it could be sold in its current condition. I was taking a closer look just now and noticed a large piece of dirt caught in the fabric fibers on the back side. The soil is deeply embedded into the cloth. That means a great deal of force was used when the dirt was lodged into the cloth. It's likely that this patch of dirt is from the very flower pot thrown by Kazuha's grandfather. Because this is not what we're looking for now. Let me think. If I wanted to leave a message behind, I would probably choose to leave it on something a little more special.
Albedo seems to be thinking pretty hard. We better not bother him.
There must be some around here somewhere. Do you see all these pots here? Some of them are bound to have liquor inside, right?
Hey! Everyone else is trying hard to help, and you're over here looking for a drink?
I merely jest, of course. Come on, we're close to uncovering the truth now. Why do you look so worried?
Well, Paimon doesn't really get why Kazuha told Sara to sell all these belongings. What if we don't end up finding anything today? Then wouldn't Kazuha lose the chance of finding out what really happened all those years ago? You know, just saying.
I know you are worried about Kazuha, but if you ask me, he is stronger than you think. Since Kazuha made such a request to Sara, that indicates he's already made his choice. Whether we find out the truth or not today, or whatever it turns out to be, he's ready to accept it. No, not intuition. Rather, I've lived for a long time now, so you could say I have some experience in reading people. Leave the things here to me. You two can look around elsewhere.
What did you find, Shinjo?
I found quite the pile of old books. These books here are all related to smelting steel, and these are about the process of forging blades. This pile over here is all about plants and flowers.
The books about plants and flowers must have belonged to Kazuha's great-grandfather.
I skimmed through them just now, but I didn't find anything particularly worth noting. I shall take a closer look and let you know if I find anything.
Oh, it's you. I'm currently investigating the sword rack.
Oh, since the Kaidahara clan was a family of renowned swordsmiths, then this blade should be super valuable, right? Maybe it's a treasure of the Ishin art!
I'm afraid not. Although the sword rack is made of fine wood, the swords placed here appear to be quite ordinary. Due to the dire financial situation of the late Kaidahara clan, everything of value has probably been sold off already. The blade on the sword hasn't been sharpened, but there are many signs of use on the hilt. Perhaps Kaidahara used it for training as a child.
Let Paimon see! Oh, there seems to be a couple uneven characters etched into the scabbard. Kazu-ha. Wow, so it really was Kazuha's! Paimon can imagine what Kazuha was like as a kid.
I will continue investigating here and call you if I find anything interesting.
Everyone, I've found something that you should all have a look at.
Oh, seems Kazuha discovered something. Let's go see what he's got.
This flower pot was in my house for a long time. I heard that it was left behind by my great-grandfather.
Yeah, the plants seem to have been dead for a while now.
Well, after my great-grandfather stopped studying the forging arts, he picked up the hobby of keeping bonsai plants. Most of his prized plants were given to others once he became seriously ill. But he specifically left behind this dead plant at the time, and even instructed my grandfather not to throw it away in his will. My grandfather deeply regretted that he never managed to reconcile with my great-grandfather, so he left the plant exactly as it was. But now that I think about it, my great-grandfather could very well have left it behind for other reasons.
Now that you mention it, this flower pot is kinda suspicious.
Yes. Let's take a closer look, shall we?
We finally found something! It's only a bunch of blank paper. Do you think someone already discovered the compartment and swapped the contents?
No, I do not think that is the case here. See the paper? It's quite yellowed, which means it's very old.
You mean to say that these sheets have been written with special ink, like that which Miss Kamisato found before?
Yes, I agree with this hypothesis.
Okay, let's give it a dunk then.
There is a pond outside the police station. I'll use the water there.
Well, how did it go? Those weren't just plain old sheets of paper, were they?
Just as everyone guessed, after I sprinkled some water onto the paper, writing did indeed begin to appear on it. It is a letter, written by my great-grandfather.
Oh? What does the letter say?
It is. I'll tell you what my great-grandfather knew at the time, but before that, I wish to take you somewhere. Everyone, please follow me.
My store is offering the latest in fashion. Come and have a look.
as per our contract.
I'll keep an eye on you.
Kaedehara, why did you lead us to this beach?
It is. In fact, my great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan tracked the fleeing swordsmiths to this very location. Our hypothesis was correct. My great-grandfather was well aware of the truth behind the defective blades. And it was right here where they encountered the culprit who framed the Kaedehara clan and the Raiden Gokaden. It reads, "To whoever reads this letter, I, Kaedehara Yoshinori, have been held to a certain secret throughout my entire life. I don't have much longer in this world, and after much consideration, I've finally decided to disclose the matter. All those years ago, when I was pursuing the swordsmiths alongside Commissioner Kamisato of the Yashiro Commission, I was not injured by one of the fleeing smiths. Rather,
it was night, and after the clues led us down to shore, I waited for the culprits to show themselves. However, there were no swordsmiths in sight, only a single eccentric stranger. This stranger claimed to be the one behind the failed forgings, and said that he had been patiently waiting for us. He then threatened to destroy the Raiden Gokaden. That person was of able body, and in a blink of an eye, myself and the accompanying samurai had been defeated. Commissioner Kamisato was severely wounded, and I barely escaped death myself. My hat had fortunately blunted a blow to my head. The unusual stranger could have easily claimed my life at that moment, but after noticing my appearance, he stopped his attacks and sternly asked if I had any connection with the name Niwa. I answered that it was my father's surname, and after my father disappeared, I was adopted by the Kaedehara family. Upon hearing my answer, the stranger paused. After a long silence, he suddenly said, "Tell her this. My name is Kunikuzushi." He then turned and left.
Wow. So that's what really happened.
Yes. My great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan escaped from death and learned that the forging diagram had been tampered with by Kunikuzushi. However, due to the encounter, the head of the Kamisato clan was worried that my great-grandfather would be falsely accused of being involved with the perpetrator. So even on his deathbed, the master of the Kamisato clan cautioned my great-grandfather to never speak of what happened. Because the perpetrator said he would destroy the Raiden Gokaden, my great-grandfather worried that the perpetrator would still return for vengeance. So, to protect his loved ones, he closed the family business. He said, "As the leader of the Kaedehara clan, I am deeply ashamed to witness the decline of the Isshin art. But as a father, it is my priority to ensure the safety of my children and grandchildren." Yes, that's right. If my grandpa had somehow discovered the secret behind the tampered diagram all those years ago, perhaps my great-grandfather would have told him the truth. Unfortunately, he failed to catch any of the hints in my great-grandfather's words. Miss Kamisato, it appears you were unaware of the happenings that my great-grandfather described here. What are your thoughts?
I suppose the reason the head of the Kamisato house never spoke of this to the family was due to similar safety concerns. If the perpetrator was capable of tampering with even the Shogun's diagrams, and could single-handedly defeat many men, then he is not an ordinary enemy. I will discuss this matter with Brother shortly, and investigate the identity behind the one called Kunikuzushi. Rest assured, we will act cautiously.
To be honest, as I read the letter, I felt much turbulence in my heart. But now I've managed to calm myself. My great-grandfather said in the letter that he did not wish his descendants to blindly seek revenge and be deceived by things of the past. Though he was in a tight situation when he wrote these words, I feel like they are still valid nonetheless. I think what's most important for each person is not the past, but the present. Even though we must carry the burdens from the past, there are also things we wish to strive for. Therefore, knowing the truth behind what happened is enough for me. I will live on just as my great-grandfather had hoped. That being said, if the enemy from all those years ago is still lurking and plotting to stir up more trouble, then I definitely won't turn a blind eye. These are simply insights I've gathered from all that I've experienced. Thank you all for accompanying me in my search for the truth behind that incident.
Great! Now that we're done here, let's head back to Rito. Today is the final stage of the Iridori Festival. Not only will there be Shincho's signing event, but Albedo's painting of Kuranushi will also be unveiled. Let's take a stroll through the festival venue. Maybe we'll find everyone there.
Absolutely amazing.
Hello, traveler. Paimon?
Albedo, why is the portrait of Kuranushi all covered up? Paimon wants to see what your Kuranushi portrait looks like.
Don't worry. The unveiling ceremony will be starting shortly. You'll see what it looks like then. I will say that I'm most satisfied with this particular work. I even made a special trip to see someone in order to complete it. They gave me some very valuable suggestions. Is that so? Anyway, there is still time before the ceremony. You may have a look around the venue first.
So many people. How about you sit right here and try my Inazuman snacks?
Well, hello everyone.
Hey! What are you two doing together? Don't think we didn't see you two chatting up a storm just now. The moment we came over, you stopped talking.
Is that so? I'm afraid you're just overthinking things.
We were merely discussing wine and food. I'm sure you two wouldn't be interested.
Speaking of good sides with sake, I personally prefer fried tofu.
Ugh, forget it. Even if those two are plotting something, they'd still never let us know.
How about you sit right here and try my Inazuman snacks?
Who is this Jinyu everyone keeps talking about?
Kazuha, what are you doing here? Why aren't you at the festival?
I came here to take in the sea breeze. Such a bustling atmosphere is never really to my liking. I knew you were still worried about me. Thank you, but please, don't worry. The things I said in front of everyone weren't just pretty-sounding excuses. Look. See this familiar harbor in front of us? Before, you could sit here all day without seeing a single ship pass through. Instead, all you would see were soldiers from the Kanjo Commission, guarding against possible intruders. But now, it's become a bustling place. Not only are foreigners coming to Inazuma again, but traffic between here and Watatsumi Island has also been picking up.
Yeah, Inazuma has already started to change, huh?
I was thinking, in some ways, each and every one of us are similar to this country. It might take a different amount of time for different people, but there will inevitably come a day when each person can let go of their burdens. And when they finally let go, they are free to follow the wind as they please.
Yeah, let's go on a big adventure.
Check out our fairy tale picture books. Suitable for all ages.
Traveler, Paimon, it's a pleasure to see you. Indeed it did. Thanks to you, the signing event went off without a hitch. And I must say, the readers seem most satisfied.
Shito, is it just Paimon, or are you on the lookout for something?
You aren't mistaken, though I'm ashamed to admit it. But in fact, I have been on the watch for tourists from Liyue. After all, I came to Inazuma under the pretext of evaluating a potential investment. If an acquaintance were to see me sitting here, then there would be no way to hide the truth from my father. Fortunately, the crowds of readers that came flocking over have kept the usual tourists at bay. Oh, I should mention, Shu is also unaware of the real purpose of my trip. If you happen to meet him, please, remember to keep it a secret. Then, please accept my thanks in advance. I'm sorry that I can't chat long. There are still readers waiting in line. I'll see you later at the unveiling ceremony for Kuronushi's portrait.
Check out our fairy tale picture books. Don't miss Suitable for all ages.
Ah, greetings, traveler. Paimon.
Oh, Ayato! We finally get to see the busiest person of all.
Yes, there were many things which required my attention these past few days. Fortunately, the Iridori Festival is proceeding smoothly. The Tri-Commission cooperated closely to prepare this festival, so at long last, I can take a break today.
Brother and I are very grateful for your help.
Toma sure is taking his sweet time.
Yes. Today is one of the rare occasions when Brother isn't busy. I was going to buy some books, but he said he wanted to come along. His treat. However, he forgot his wallet at home, so he asked Toma to go back and fetch it for him.
Paimon didn't think Ayato could ever be forgetful like that.
Brother always works diligently, and it's rare for him to ever put his duties to the side and relax. So, Toma and I really cherish such moments when he's forgetful.
Maybe I could just turn my diary into a light novel.
It's time for the portrait's unveiling ceremony. Let's head over to the Five Casin Plaza.
Everyone, welcome to the magnificent Irodori Festival. Today, we have ushered in the final stage of our festival. And now we will reveal the final portrait of the Five Casin, Kuronushi, which was done by none other than our guest artist from Mondstadt, Calx.
Paimon has no idea what Albedo's portrait looks like. Oh, this is so nerve-wracking.
Let's all count down together. 3, 2, 1. Huh? What's this? This piece depicts nothing but a background. I suppose Calx must have forgotten to include the character. Let's hear some words from Calx himself regarding the creative process behind this piece.
Hello, everyone. First, I would like to say that it was an honor to be invited to create the portraits of the Five Casin. The Five Casin are legendary figures from ancient Inazuma, famous for their works of poetry. As time passed, poems were composed about them, and they became the subjects of many stories. I learned from existing sources about those stories that the character of Kuronushi is the deepest and most differing of the Five Casin. Moreover, Kuronushi lacks a dedicated chapter among the stories. It's as if he is a behind-the-scenes role of the Five Casin. Perhaps we can assume that every creator had a different understanding of Kuronushi. So, in the same way, I also wanted to leave this character to everyone's own imagination. After all, the Irodori Festival is a place for everyone to express their minds through creative works.
Yep, that's Albedo for ya. His super logical explanation is sure to win everyone's approval. Well, it seems that our adventures at the Irodori Festival have come to a close. Huh? What are you talking about? Oh, right! We still haven't figured out who left those stories of the Five Casin for us to find. Really? Come on then, who is it? Tell Paimon! Well, that makes sense. Otherwise, there'd be no way to give the right paper to the right person every time. Right. Even though they were using stories to hint us toward Shincho's troubles, the real goal was to lead us to solve the secrets of the Kaidahara clan. Oh, Paimon gets it now. Well, at least Paimon thinks she knows. Let's go! We'll get to the bottom of this.
Welcome home, almighty Shogun. If you're tired from walking all around the festival, how about you sit right here and try my Inazuman snacks?
Mind be purged, world be saved.
Welcome home, almighty Shogun.
Oh, are you asking about the one who left the stories of the five Kasen? I do happen to know their true identity. But things may be a little more complicated than you think.
Make sure you get in line early to buy your special edition drinks. Welcome home, almighty.
Yes, in fact, before doing the portrait of Kuronushi, I visited the person who left those stories and confirmed a few things. I think my current approach to this portrait is the most correct one. After all, there are some things that are better left obscure and out of the public eye.
Welcome home, almighty Shogun. Make sure you get in line early to buy your special edition drinks.
The person who left behind the stories of the five Kasen probably chose to do so for Kaedehara's sake. After all, if they wanted to simply tell me what happened, there'd be far easier ways of doing it.
The one who left the stories of the five Kasen. I'm afraid you guessed wrong, Paimon. It wasn't me.
Huh? Really? Paimon thought for sure you'd be the sneaky and tricky one.
But seeing as you stumbled upon me, you aren't far from finding that person now. Because other than me, there's only one person left.
Ayato! You're the one behind the stories of the five Kasen! But don't you think you overdid it a little? Leading all your friends on a wild hunt like that?
As it just so happens, one of the reasons I'm here today is to explain the details behind this wild hunt.
Huh. Paimon wants to see how you'll explain yourself out of this one.
First of all, the start of this whole incident was due to mere happenstance. You see, Lady Yai happened to catch sight of Xingqiu and the editor carrying the books away one night. She thought it was interesting, so she asked me to tease them a bit.
Huh? So it was Miko after all! Paimon knew it! This thing had Miko written all over it!
That's right. But using the story of the five Kasen to guide you to the Kaedehara family's secrets was my personal touch. As for my roundabout approach, well, that was something which I had no choice but to do. Yes. Due to a certain incident that occurred earlier, I happened to notice the bonsai plants left behind by Kaedehara Yoshinori, as well as the blank papers hidden inside. I knew there was more than meets the eye regarding those papers, but it took me some time to figure out the secret behind the ink, the kind that would only appear when exposed to water. What Kaedehara Yoshinori said in the letter is very important for both the Kamisato clan and the descendants of the Kaedehara clan, especially Kazuha. The Kaedehara clan used to be subordinates of the Kamisato clan. It was my ancestors who were unable to protect them all those years ago. So now, this obligation fell on my shoulders. Although he has the right to know the truth, the closer he draws to things hidden out of sight, the closer he also draws to danger. I had to confirm whether Kazuha has both the will and ability to be privy to the truth. Of course, I could outright tell him the truth that I had discovered, but maybe he doesn't have the will that's required. In that case, the truth would only become a burden to him. If he lacks the ability, then he wouldn't be able to find the truth in the first place, in which case, it would be better to keep him away from danger altogether. Kaedehara Yoshinori left his message in a roundabout way precisely for this reason. For a long time, I yearned for a suitable opportunity to convey this matter, right up until the night when a legend of sword was smuggled away.
Oh, Paimon gets it now. Yeah, it wasn't only Kazuha. You brought all of the rest of us into this plan of yours.
I figured you would ask this question eventually. I merely saw that this matter would be of value to you. And more importantly, I hoped that while Kazuha and Ayaka were looking for the answers together, they would have some reliable friends by their side. Reliable friends who would be willing to protect them and make measured decisions. Friends who would spare no effort to lend a helping hand in times of trouble. Because it is also very likely that you will face the same enemy together in the future. You already know the answer deep down inside, don't you? The answer is actually hidden in the portrait of Kuronushi. When there is no one else near the portrait, you can confirm with your own eyes. As for the means of revealing that answer, well, you have used it many times before.
Pretty late, so nobody else is around now. So Ayato must have been telling us to splash water on the portrait, right? It's the Balladeer! So he was the one behind the trouble all those years ago!
When there is no one else near the portrait, you can confirm with your own eyes. As for the means of revealing that answer, well, you have used it many times before. Also, there's one last thing that we must discuss. I mentioned earlier that the occurrence of a certain incident made me notice the bonsai plants. I wish to tell you of that incident now. It was just after the Shogun announced the abolition of the Sakoku decree. I heard that something had happened at the Tenryou Commission. They had discovered signs that someone had entered the warehouse storing the Commission's articles of evidence and confiscated items. But nothing was stolen. I felt something unusual about that incident, so I told Kujo Sara of the Tenryou Commission to treat it as if nothing happened. She was not to increase the guard or relocate the warehouse contents. In the meantime, I sent a member of the Shumatsuban to keep watch over the warehouse. And sure enough, someone was sneaking in and rummaging through the belongings of the Kaedehara clan.
You mean, he was also looking for...
I let him search for a while, but in the end, he found nothing. Soon after, he had to leave Inazuma by boat.
Why didn't you send someone to catch him?
The best way to protect a secret is to treat it as if it doesn't exist, is it not? Besides, the identity of this person is not hard to guess. After he left Inazuma, I carefully checked the Kaedahara clan's belongings one by one, and eventually discovered the papers in the hidden compartment of the flower pot. I am certain that the papers are the secret which the infiltrator sought to find, though he couldn't confirm whether this secret existed at all. So, now on to my final question. Which part of Kaedahara Yoshinori's experiences was the secret that needed to be protected? I don't have an answer to this question at present, so I'll leave it to your future self. As for now, please, enjoy yourselves at the Iridori Festival.
The assumption that every person... somewhere to call home is naive. I got used to living in the mountains alongside the birds and beasts a long time ago.
Festivals always attract so many people. Ugh.